thus ends our show for now. I hope you'll visit again.
Hi, I'm May, and a while ago I watched the Bungo Stray Dogs anime. As I did this, I also thought about Genshin Impact characters, if they could fit into any of the anime scenes. In today's video I want to explore this idea by drawing Genshin Impact characters into Bungo Stray Dogs anime scenes. The first scene is from episode 1. Here Atsushi says, "Just my luck." Some rather misfortune things happen to him, which reminds me of Bennett, so I drew him here. In the second scene from the same episode we also have Atsushi saying, "You're a real lifesaver. I came from Yokohama, straight from the orphanage. I've had nothing to eat and nowhere to sleep since." And again I drew Bennett here. Atsushi and him are similar personality-wise to me as well. Next is a scene from episode 2. Here Doppo talks to Dazai saying, "You worthless cat, stop ridiculing me." And he also says, "I just lost a minute with this idiot. He's got a knack for wasting my time. We've got to get to the agency." And the characters I chose to draw into this scene would be Neuvillette and Ravesley. Since Neuvillette reminds me a bit of Doppo, with wanting to stick to plans and doing what's right, this fits, and then Dazai would remind me of Ravesley, who would be a bit more lawfully grey maybe, and the dynamic for both of them working together would also seem funny to me. As a fourth scene I drew Genshin characters into. We have one from episode 5. Here Rampo says, "I can solve this thing in less than a minute," and in the other screenshot he says, "The killer is you." In the agency, Rampo kind of takes on the role of the master detective, and I drew Heizu here, who fits this role, and also Rampo's personality to me. Then his hair and eye color kind of fit as well. For the next scene from season 1 episode 8, Kaji says, "Let's check in to see how our experiment is doing." Kaji is a crazy scientist kind of character. He can be seen as reckless and extreme. Someone who also is fascinated with experiments as he is would be Il Dottore, who I drew into this scene due to this. Moving on to the next scene from episode 11, here Kenji says, "If we go and ask them nicely, I'm sure they'll admit it, that's how life is." And then, whether it's cow or man, a city or village, if you are honest, others will reply in kind. That principle has always worked for years. As you can maybe tell from this quote, he is a good-hearted person. He can maybe even be seen as naive personality-wise. And a Genshin Impact character that kind of aligns with this would be Kaveh to me. Then Kenji also seems rather peaceful and relaxed, which would fit to Kazuha to me. The next scene redraw is from the same episode. It's a scene just 1 minute later. Here Kenji says, "This is wonderful, I knew you would be honest, and I knew my honesty would be repaid in kind." And this time there is Atsushi with him. I drew the same characters for Kenji here, and for Atsushi I didn't draw characters that fit to Atsushi to me personality-wise, but I drew characters that I could see being annoyed or upset due to the naive personality of Kenji. For Kaveh this would be Al-Haytham, and for Kazuha, Wanderer. In the scene itself, Kenji is talking to very intimidating gangster guys. That is why Atsushi is so surprised about the way Kenji talks. Now we move on to season 2. The first redraw here is from episode 1, where Dazai talks to Oda. Dazai says, "I really thought they could rough me up, but no dice." While Oda says, "I'm basically a glorified handyman." They are at a bar, and for this I thought Kaeya would fit for Dazai, also personality-wise, while Diluc would fit to Oda, especially because of the rumor of the Red Dead of Night. For the next redraw, we stay at episode 1. Here Hirotsu says, "It's an old model, even older than me." Him saying this reminded me of Zhongli, who is also very knowledgeable about the past. In the scene, Dazai asks Hirotsu if he recognizes an old gun, and he responds with the quote I mentioned, and after this he also explains what the weapon he thinks this is. As another scene I drew Genshin characters into, we have one from episode 2, and we're back to Kaeya and Diluc as Dazai and Oda here. Kaeya says, "You're a member of the mafia, but you don't kill anyone. You have no interest in moving up and look after orphans. You're a strange one. I don't know anyone else in the Port Mafia like you." And Oda replies with, "You're stranger than I am." Dynamic-wise, this duo does remind me of Kaeya and Diluc, if they were a bit more friendly maybe, and also part of a mafia group. Moving on to the next scene. Here Margaret says, "Don't be ridiculous, you aren't even worth polishing my shoes." Her attitude reminded me a lot of Kiori, which is why I drew her here. Next is a redraw from episode 8 with Mr. Fitzgerald saying, "Now then, back to business." And this is kind of the introductory redraw to a few redraws of Ningguang as him. Both of them are financially wealthy while also having a powerful leading position, and this is why I drew her here as well as into the next two redraws, which would be from episode 11. In the first scene, Mr. Fitzgerald says, "For however much money I spend, the more power I gain." and using money as kind of a power is something I also kind of connect to Ningguang. Then for the other scene we have Mr. Fitzgerald saying there are many ways an individual can have influence, money, political power, financial influence, but it helps if you have everything like I do. I see parallels to Ningguang's position here as well. For the last scene redraw from season 2 we go back to episode 9. Azai says, figures it'd be a trap, and Chuya says, once I take out the trash your next body here. And similarly to scenes before, who I drew for Dazai would be Kaya, they really remind me of each other. I could also see Child having this kind of mischievous attitude toward Kaya, and Chuya and Child also remind me of each other personality-wise. Next is a redraw from the Dead Apple movie. Here I drew Ayato. In this scene, Tatsuhiko says, thus far no one has been able to surpass my expectations, because I see Ayato as a powerful intellectual figure who also has high standards. I could see him in this scene. Moving on to another scene from the movie here, Agatha says, what a shame, the scent of a burning nation would have gone well with my tea, and I drew Navia for this. Both Agatha and her are these powerful leaders, and the whole tea quote fits to them too. They have a bit of a comedic attitude. The next scene redraw is from the movie as well, and here we have Child as Chuya, and Chuya says, I get lifelong bragging rights, I guess I can live with that. The bold and playful attitude of Chuya fits to Child to me, that's why I drew him here. I also like their similar hair colors. The next scene redraw is from season 3 episode 10, and we also have Heizu as Rampo. For this scene, Rampo says, hehe, nothing's impossible for a great detective here. Moving on to the next scene from season 4 episode 6, here Nikolai says, and thus ends our show for now. It's a bit funny that this is the first scene from this season, as he is talking about something ending, and the character that in general really fits to him, with the head, card and magician aesthetic, would be Lani, who I also drew into this scene. For the next redraw, we stay in season 4, this one is from episode 7. Here Jono is talking to Suehiro and he says, I'll have you know, Techo, that of every single member in our squad, I most certainly hate you the most. And Suehiro or Techo replies, hate? Why? And Jono says, because you are soulless and entirely lacking in artistry. For this I drew Kaveh as Jono and Al-Haytham as Suehiro. I could imagine Kaveh getting mad at Al-Haytham for being weird in some way, weird to him as a person who thinks differently from Kaveh himself, that is. Al-Haytham is more logical and less passionate than Kaveh, which is similar to Suehiro and Jono. For the next redraw we have a scene from episode 8. Here Suehiro says, you're a fool if you think I'm gonna die from this height. He's also falling, and it reminded me of Kinich, how he also moves around. Attitude-wise, they're similar as well, and they both have these marks beneath their eyes, that's why they also fit to each other to me. Next is a scene from the same episode. Here Mr. Fitzgerald says it could be arranged, though naturally for a price. And again, I drew Ningguang here, who also makes use of finances and money. The next scene redraw is from this episode as well. Here we have one of the classic butler kind of scenes, which I have also drawn Toma and Ayato into for several other anime before, Obey Me and Paradox Live for example. In this scene, Hirotsu says to Mori, boss, pardon the interruption, but something came up. And as mentioned, I drew Ayato and Toma here. I find it nice how there seems to be this boss and servant dynamic in multiple anime like this. For the next scene from season 4 episode 19, Akiko says, you finally became someone you liked when you joined an organization. Well, I understand you. And as a person that looks similar to her and is similar to her with her strong personality, I drew Kujo Sara. Moving on to another scene from episode 12 with Jono and Suehiro again. Here Jono says, no training in the middle of a meeting, while stepping on Suehiro, who just started doing push-ups. He responds by saying, your perfect weight. And once again, I drew Kaveh and Al-Haytham here. Let me know if any other Genshin characters would fit into here for you as well. It's a funny scene to me. Now for the next redraw from the same episode, or rather the next sequence of redraws. These scenes focus on Sigma. They show his role as owner of the Sky Casino, which reminded me a bit of the Penacony world in Honkai Star Rail. Then I also see a lot of parallels between Sigma and Sunday as managers. They also remind me of each other personality-wise. This is why I drew Sunday here. Now I will also add what Sigma says in this scene. Stay calm, our top priority is to keep our clients from panicking. Tell them it's an electrical failure and escort them all back to their hotel room. A 4-0 Lazarus is becoming unstable, assign him some security. Client E24 has a medical heart condition, alert the medical staff now. Then some people working there say, "Wow, I heard he memorizes all of his clients' names and characteristics instantly," to which another worker responds, "No wonder they always say he was the perfect choice to manage a casino." Then Sigma continues talking, "Such a mild incident will be forgotten by next week. If you see a situation, deal with it." And then when he's alone in another room, he says, "If they find out what this casino really is in actuality, I will have to kill them." That's it for the redraws for Season 4. The next scene redraw is from Season 5, Episode 1. Here we return with Heizo as Rampo, and Rampo says, "I have proof right here." And later on in this episode he says, "It's actually quite easy to become a detective." For the next scene we stay in Episode 1, and this time there is Yukichi talking to Sampo and Dazai. He says, "Then I shall issue an order. Shut this damn plot down." This also connects to the next scene from Episode 5. Here Yukichi says, "The one order is a weapon with an ability that is similar to mine." When he spoke of order, I had to think of Zhongle's attack, where he says, "I will have order." That's why I drew Zhongli here. He also reminds me of Yukichi presence-wise. They have a similar aura. The next redraw is from Episode 4 with Heizo Sampo again. Sampo says, or rather thinks, "No enemy can best my intellect." Maybe you can tell by now that this parallel, Heizo and Sampo, is the most prevalent between Bungo Stray Dogs and Genshin Impact to me. The next redraw is from Episode 4 as well. Here we have Jono kind of mocking Suehiro. Suehiro first says, "Judging from the timing, it's safe to assume it's their next act of global terrorism." And then Jono says, "Oh, nothing, it's just that you only say anything sensible once a month. I should mark it down on my calendar." There's also Okura next to him, and as with the other scenes with Suehiro and Jono, I drew Al-Haytham and Kaveh here. As for Okura, it is maybe a bit of a spoiler, but she is able to change her age, and this made me think of Nahida from Genshin, who, despite her young appearance, is very wise. She also knows Al-Haytham and Kaveh, that's why I decided to draw her here as well. Next would be a redraw from Episode 6. Here Lini, as Nikolai returns, he says, "You've got your own tricks up your sleeve." And later on his assistant, Lynette, who I drew instead of Sigma, is also here. Sigma complains, saying, "Who are you calling your assistant?" And the stubborn attitude here fits to Lynette to me. The final redraw is from Episode 9, with Yukichi holding a sword saying, "I'll end the war." Here I had to think of Kazuha with his sword and rather peaceful energy, that's why I drew him here. That's it for all the scene redraws in this video. Which one was your favorite? Which Genshin Impact and Bungo Stray Dogs characters remind you of each other? Do you have any favorite Genshin Impact or Bungo Stray Dogs characters? Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you'd like to support me, you can check out my Patreon, where you can find full screen recorded process videos of my art and more. Other than this, leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like these in the future would mean a lot. I have a sticker of Jono and a print of Sigma on my shop, as well as many other Genshin Impact and other fanart related things. Feel free to check it out. Thanks for watching, have a nice day, bye.